Hi, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Our devotion for today, September 21st, 2023, is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 9, verses 9 through 13. As Jesus passed on from there, he saw a man called Matthew sitting at a tax booth. And he said to him, "Follow me." And he rose and followed him. And as Jesus reclined at table in the house, behold, many tax collectors and sinners came and were reclining with Jesus and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" But when he heard it, he said, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy and not sacrifice, for I came not to call the righteous, but sinners." Jesus' ministry in the region of Galilee is still fairly new, and he doesn't have all of the disciples yet. In this situation, many would look for people with good reputations, those with status, those with money, those with power. Most companies look for people like that to fill their board of directors, people with proven track records of being successful, people who are respected in the community, people who are admired and looked up to. But not Jesus. These are not the kind of people he's looking for to round out his board of directors, his disciples. At least 6 others were called to follow Jesus before Matthew was called. And Matthew was as opposite as he could be to the people who sit on the boards of directors of most every well-known company today. Matthew was hated by the Jews. He was considered to be unclean, a traitor to his people, and worse than that, he was a sinner. He collected taxes for the enemy, the Romans, and probably collected more than he should have to line his own pockets with wealth. This is the kind of man Jesus calls to his inner circle of ministry. This is one of the things that drives the righteous of Jerusalem crazy, the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the priests. That Jesus associates himself with these kinds of people. It is evidence they believe that proves that he is not really the Messiah, who they would believe would never associate with such people. They judge Jesus by the people he surrounds himself with and eats with. And that happens even today, right? We're guilty by association with others, often in the minds of people. We find Jesus in our text today calling Matthew, who has also been named Levi. And now we find him eating with sinners and tax collectors. And the Pharisees asked Jesus' disciples about it because they can't imagine any righteous man doing such things. There's a good chance that it also bothered his disciples as well. I mean, they had formed their own opinions of what the Messiah would do and the behaviors he would exhibit. I'm pretty sure none of them thought he'd be eating with tax collectors and sinners. So when Jesus hears what the Pharisees are asking his disciples, he answers them. Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy and not sacrifice, for I came not to call the righteous, but sinners. It is an answer meant for us to hear and to think about. It isn't those who are right with God Jesus came into the world to save, but those who aren't right with God, those who are lost, those who are caught up in sin, those who have distanced themselves from God. And isn't that who we should be associating with ourselves, since we fall into that group as well? Shouldn't we be associating with them to share the gospel and proclaim Jesus' death, resurrection, and saving grace? Aren't they the ones who need to hear it? Instead, we all too often try to avoid these kinds of people while spending our time with those who are just like us, not realizing, of course, that we are all still sinners too. Jesus commands us to make disciples. Sometimes that means building up those who are already Christians. And sometimes it means stepping out into uncomfortable territory and rubbing shoulders with non-believers whose lifestyles are nothing like our own. Can you do that? Go in peace, serve the Lord.